Tusk came about from a story Smith read while doing a podcast. He heard of this story where someone offered free housing in exchange for them dressing as a walrus. He made up this whole story and then asked his Twitter followers if they wanted a movie based on this idea. They said yes, and that's how we got this strange little horror comedy. And you know, it got mixed reviews and didn't do that well at the box office, but I kinda liked it. Wallace Brighton, played by Justin Long, does a podcast with his friend Teddy, played by Haley Joel Osment. They basically watch viral videos and make fun of them, and one of the most recent was a guy who cut off his own leg while acting out Kill Bill. Wallace heads to Canada to interview him, but it turns out he's dead. So instead he finds an ad for a guy who apparently has lived an interesting life, and he goes to meet this man named Howard Ho, played by Michael Parks, but he has some plans for Wallace that make the Human Centipede look normal. That's what this movie reminds me of, the Human Centipede, which I did watch once back during my first semester at college. This, I think, is a better movie. It's not great, I do think it is a bit too long, but I can't deny I was interested. What it does really well is it takes someone who starts out as just a complete douchebag. He's that guy who laughs at genuinely horrible things happening to other people in order to make money. It's just hard to sympathize with that kind of person, but once shit goes down and you see him screaming and crying, I did feel really sorry for him. Long is incredibly good in this. He is able to convey so much with just his eyes. When he is crying, I believe he is scared shitless.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy shit! There's no leg there.
Doesn't appear to be. Just let it out, dear boy. Let it all out.
My leg is off! Oh my god!
Nature can be very red in tooth and claw.
And once again, Michael Parks is intense as shit. In fact, the movie does have a really chilling atmosphere. The music is droning and there's intense scenes of characters looking right into the camera. And let's just say there's a scene underwater that actually made me give a little bit of a scream. And the things he plans to do are so ridiculous. After all, it is part comedy, but it is played so straight that it actually does make it legit horrifying. The comedy overall is kind of hit and miss. It starts with a Star Wars kid parody, which is already not very funny, but this was released in 2014. There's also stuff with Teddy and Wallace's girlfriend Allie, played by Genesis Rodriguez. I'm not really sure what's going on with them, but eventually they go to look for Wallace, and here is where we get by far the worst part of the movie. Guy Lapointe, played by Johnny Depp. It's not that Depp is bad, he's pretty good and the makeup is fantastic, but this character just slows the movie down. He comes in just when things are getting really intense and then goes on this long, unfunny, uninteresting story, and it doesn't fucking end. Every time it cuts back to these guys, I just want it to go back to Wallace and Howard. I don't know if this is Depp ad-libbing and Smith just didn't stop him, or if this stuff was written in the script, but I hated it. And he's mostly pointless. Teddy and Allie could have just tracked him down by themselves. The only other problem is some of the editing. It's kind of told out of order sometimes. Like they'll just show scenes that happened earlier, even though they could have just showed those scenes earlier when they happened chronologically. One of them that really perplexed me was where Teddy, Allie, and Lapointe asked the two clerks if they seen Wallace. Then it cuts to a scene we actually saw earlier of them talking to Wallace. Like, I didn't need to see this scene. I know they saw him earlier. I think the only reason that was in there was to give the girls more screen time since they're the stars of his next movie. I do also like the ending. It's dark and kind of sad, but has that little bit of, I don't know if hope is the right word, but something similar to that. So the movie is flawed. I'd say it's about 2/3 a pretty good movie. It's scary, suspenseful, but has a bit of a comedic edge to it. The last third is where it starts to lose me, and I really wish they had tightened up the editing, but I kinda liked it. I give it a 7 out of 10. It won't be for everybody, but the stuff it does well is too good, and it's too unique to brush off completely, and I guess this was Smith's attempt to start up another universe, as the two clerks from this movie, who are played by both his daughter and Depp's, would be the stars of a film he did a couple years later. But before we get to that, he did direct a segment in an anthology film that came out a few months before Yoga Hosers, and that's what we'll be looking at tomorrow. My love.